Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening. We are doing our Meet the Candidate event for the Wilkins Township area, which means that we have invited all council, school board, and mayoral candidates from that area to join us this evening. We are going to give each of our candidates a 5-minute time period to share their candidate statement with you, explain who they are, why they're running, what they prioritize. We will then open it up to questions that we have received from the public. If we have time after the pre-submitted questions, we will be taking questions from anybody who is on the meeting and would like to submit a question via chat. So all of that being said, Ken, would you like to start this evening? I think you are still on mute, Ken, if you could unmute yourself. Oh, you muted yourself again.
Okay, got it.
There you go.
I guess you unmuted me, right? I'm trying to.
You are unmuted and ready to go, Ken.
Understand. Well, I was born and raised in West Homestead. I don't know if too many people know where West Homestead is. It's west of Homestead. Was the second oldest of five. My mom and dad grew up in Pittsburgh. My grandparents on my mom's side grew up on the south side. My grandfather and grandmother on my dad's side grew up in West Homestead. So my dad stayed in the borough that he was raised in. My dad's dad worked in the mill. My mom's dad worked originally in the south side, and then the company moved down the river to, I believe, Ambridge. I was the first of the five kids in our family to graduate from college. I went for 2 years to Penn State in Keysport, was in the business school there. And most of my friends that I went to high school with were a year younger than me, and they went to IUP. So after 2 years at Penn State McKeesport, I transferred to IUP and graduated with my degree from there. High school wise, I graduated from Bishop Boyle High School, which is a Catholic school that does not no longer exist. When I graduated from IUP, I wound up in Colorado and spent most of the next 30 years in business administration. I worked at a community health center for 5 years as an accountant first and then as the controller. And after 5 years there, I moved on to start businesses on my own. The most successful businesses that I did run, one was a mortgage company, a period of about 5 to 6 years that I'm very proud of, because I don't know how many people are aware of how the mortgage industry runs, but it's very easy for people to take advantage of clients. What I used to do in my mortgage company is I would take the lock sheet with the interest rates and I'd explain to people how interest rates function and what points are. And there's a thing in the industry called yield spread premium. And I can tell you that companies that weren't mine, but other people's companies would get yield spread premium credits of in excess of $3,000 per mortgage. I showed people the rate sheet, locked it as close as possible to true par. And if there was any credit, I gave that back to my clients as a credit at closing. So my 5 to 6 years in the mortgage business, if I ran into a client on the street, I did not have to cross the street and run away and hide from them. And that's how I ran my company. For about the last 20 or 30 years, I've been working in high school sports. I am a referee in multiple sports. 4 high school sports are soccer, volleyball, basketball, and men's lacrosse. We also do baseball and softball in the summers. Now, moving on to the reason why I'm running. I I'm a believer in lower taxes and lower debt. Myself, the only debt that I have is my car, which I bought a car about a year and a half ago. I think that our township should be run similarly. It should not have a lot of debt. The federal government has 31 to 33 trillion, depending on who you talk to. And I'm thinking with the federal government with that kind of debt, we don't need the township to mirror that and be in great portions of debt. And the biggest issue right now is everybody wants a new township building. I shouldn't say everybody on the council and our township manager want a new building. But most of the people that I talk to on the hustings, and I'm going to Democrats and independents as well as Republicans, nobody wants to see a tax increase to cover $13 million of money that we don't have. So that's two things. It's going to provoke a tax increase of at least 2 mills to cover $13 million over a 30-year period of time. And I'm just thinking that's not a wise expenditure of money we don't have. How much time do I have left?
You have 1 minute.
1 minute. In regards to moving back here, my significant other and I, we looked at each other about 8 years ago and said, we're getting older. We should move closer to either my family or your family. And her family was in California, which was a ways from Colorado Springs. But my family was all centered in Pittsburgh for the most part. And so we chose to come to Pittsburgh. And Wilkins Township is where we wound up living. And we've been here for 7.5 years.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Carlton, would you like to go next?
Sure. Good evening. My name's Carlton Scott. I'm running for the school board in Region 1. And to start, I'm a 94 Woodland Hills alum. I've been a 49-year resident of the district. I grew up in Churchill and currently live in Wilkins Township. I attended Slippery Rock University and earned my bachelor's in communication and my master's in counseling and educational psychology. I currently work at the University of Pittsburgh. I've been at the University of Pittsburgh for 24 years in the advising realm. And I'm currently the Associate Director of Advising for the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences there. Other things are I'm also I've been a board member since 2001, and I'm currently a trustee of a private operating foundation called the Intercultural House, and we're an organization that supports and promotes programs and initiatives designed to deal with racial inequities and educate students on race and culture and things along those lines. So for a number of years, I've been having dialogues and conversations about complex issues, political issues, things along those lines. The priorities. So, one of my main priorities is, I've been in the student development realm for a long time. And to me, it's very important that we create a culture in our schools that is conducive to learning, that families can send students to Woodland Hills School District and know that it's a school district that is prides itself on being a safe environment, one that we actually are intentional about making sure that kids come home and feel good about their experience. So that's one main priority that I think that we need to make sure that we are targeting there. The other thing is academic innovation. I think that today when we're talking about budgets and lack of funding, it's important that we think in an innovative way about how we're going to meet the needs of our students. Focus on the fundamentals, but do it in a creative manner with the resources that we do have. Our budget shouldn't dictate our ability to be able to educate our kids effectively and make sure that the district is something that is desirable for people who live in the district and who are seeking to come to Woodland Hills. So that's one of the main uh, priorities that I think that we really should be focusing on. I think that another factor, when I was on the board in 2021, we focused on making sure that we're surrounding our students with people who also have those same values. People who understand the students and can foster strong relationships with them and model the type of behavior and thinking that we would want them to have when they get out. That's something obviously working at a college. I'm I know I feel like I know what it is that our students should be, the level they should be achieving at, and I hope to be a part of the board to help steer that. How much time do I have left?
You have 1 minute left, Carlton.
Okay. The only thing I'll say is that, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I narrowly lost in the primary, and I did cross foul, and I'm on the Republican ballot. I think that speaks to, the diverse group of people that supported me, and I truly appreciate that. I think that we all this should be above politics. I think that we can work together to make sure that we are doing best for our students. So I would just ask for people to please look for my name when it's time to vote. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Darnika, I'm sorry, I don't pronounce it for me.
It's Darnika.
Darnika, I apologize.
It's okay. Hi, I'm Darnika Reed, and also thank you for having us back. Um, so I am running for re-election, so for a second term on the Woodland Hills School Board. I am the parent of two Woodland Hills graduates. My daughter is an 11th grader at the high school now. She's also a cheerleader. Um, for Besides being a mom, I'm also a disability and special education rights advocate. I host workshops so that parents can learn how to advocate for their children and navigate the special education system. I have been employed in the behavioral health field for over 15 years. I'm also the acting executive director of the Mayor's Charitable Fund, which is an organization that was created to help mayors provide support for their communities and their constituents. Um, so I'm also a member of the Churchill Wilkins Rotary and chair of the Social Justice Committee, the Rankin Mon Valley section of the National Council of Negro Women. As far as my priorities, my top three priorities, and this is why I'm running, is to improve transparency, because I believe taxpayers should know how their money is being spent and, and how it's being voted on as well. Um, and we've had some issues like concerns in the district regarding transparency. Uh, I was publicly censured for actually for exposing some board members when they were voted to approve over $3 million in contracts without the public being aware of it. That was done in an email thread. So um, regardless, I mean, and I've been asked about it, like as if I regret doing it, I actually don't. And the reason is you pay your taxes. Um, you should know how, the public should know how those funds are being spent. And not only that, that's a violation. So I will continue to advocate for a transparent process when it comes to the spending of taxpayer dollars. And my second priority is to improve special education services within the district. We spend a, a ton of money. That's usually a focus. Like, how can we support our students and uh, equitably, but also we also have to make sure that we are supporting our special education students. If we can you know build a great relationships with our families and ensure that they can, their children receive the proper services, then we don't have to worry about them moving out of the district or that's that's been an issue for quite some time, and that's something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I try to support the our families as much as I possibly can when it comes to that. And I've also served on a special education committee when I first joined the school board. Another priority is for us to increase revenue, and I would like for us to find better ways to increase revenue instead of us just spending tax dollars. We should be looking for sponsorships and more grants so that we're not just every so often trying to increase taxes rather than find creative ways to increase revenue. We don't always want to be a burden on the taxpayers. Um, and yeah, those are my main priorities. And also I will look forward to serving on the board for another 4 years. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, so we do have several questions that have been pre-submitted. And just a reminder to anybody who is in the group that if you have questions that you would like to submit, please do it through the chat function in the Zoom room. So the first question is, and if you feel like you've spoke to this in your candidate statement, you're obviously able to say that you've already spoken to it. But what do you plan to do to increase revenue? Ken, would you like to answer that question? Ken, I'm not sure if you're speaking, but you're on mute and we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Got it. Sorry about that.
No,
So
you're
I'm
okay.
unmuted now.
Yep, you're good.
I think that there are two things going on there. One is it could be a revenue problem. The other hand, it could be a spending problem. Taxes are the main sources of revenue, along with grants for Wilkins Township. There are other involvements with sewages and things of that nature. I think that our current township manager is really active in regards to seeking grant monies, and that's a good thing. I think that we ought to look at the spending side of things more than worry about the revenue side of things. We have real estate taxes, and they generate things. They generate revenue. If we need more revenue, does that mean we should just raise taxes? Not necessarily. Maybe we should take a look at expenditures.
Great. Thank you, Ken. Carlton, would you like to speak to raising revenue?
In terms of raising revenue for the school district, that's a tricky thing. I think that our focus should be on actually utilizing the revenue that we have efficiently and effectively. We have the ability to replicate many of the things that we might spend money on right now within ourselves. And I think we need to be looking at where we are spending our money and what we are actually getting out of that, right? So if we actually are more efficient with how we with understanding what our outcomes are with the money that we're currently spending, I think then we will then know what it is that we actually need to do. Right now we haven't really identified what until we prioritize academic innovation, we actually attempt to see where we are falling short. Then we could seek funding, to support particular priorities. But the idea of just simply raising revenue, it sounds like a good idea. It sounds good, but it's a challenging task in regards to going to foundations and other areas. They're often hesitant to support school districts that don't demonstrate that they are doing their own due diligence in regards to the issue that they're trying to raise revenue for. So that's my thoughts on that.
Great. Thank you so much, Carlton. Darnika?
Okay. I have quite a few suggestions for that. So one, I did mention earlier about going to foundations and seeking sponsorships for different things. So it could be for um, projects and also like grant funding. I feel myself and a few other board members were pretty vocal about how we need to seek um, other means of funding so that we could pay for different things. So for instance, we have recently the an international festival was like a $10,000 expense. And a few of the board members, they question it like, well, how is it that we're spending $10,000? Did you seek any grant funding, this and that? So we need to be mindful of the money that we're spending, for sure, and finding ways, at least attempting ways to pay for different projects. Also, we need to control spending. Um, there's been times when I had to speak out because there were like contracts that the board was to approve without us actually seeing the contracts before we passed it. And so I spoke out against it, voted against it, but that is something that definitely needs to not happen anymore. Um, we also have blighted properties. North Braddock has, I know, I believe it's about over 700 blighted properties. We need to work to see what we can do to get those from the district standpoint, how we can get those properties back on the payroll, because in some cases the school district owns property. So we need to find ways to get those back on the like tax rolls. If they're just sitting there collecting taxes, that's not helping the constituents. It's certainly not helping the district at all. And I know that State Representative Brandon Markosic is working on legislation to address blighted properties. That would be extremely helpful here in our district.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question that we have for candidates is, what does transparency mean to you? And what would you do to improve it? Carlton, I'm going to start with you this time, just so we're not putting Ken on the spot first every time.
Transparency to me is always being able to communicate why you make any decision that you make. So the reality is, there if there could be there may be a perception of a lack of transparency, but for any constituent that would like to know why do we do what we do, what was the reasoning behind that, who does that impact, all of those should be questions that you're able to answer when you do make any decision, and also how it's going to positively or negatively impact students and families. So the reality is, if the inability to answer those questions can speak to a lack of transparency. The inability to be able to stand up to people who would have any question and come in front of you. You should be able to articulate why you make the decisions that you make, and clearly communicate that. And and everyone may not appreciate the answer. Everyone may not may have a different view of it, but transparency demands that you are able to actually articulate that. So that's transparency to me.
Great. Thank you so much, Carlton. Darnika, would you like me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. What does transparency mean to you, and what would you do to improve it?
It means ensuring that the public and board members understand that one, we work for them. Number one, we have to have the mindset that we know that we are to work for the public, right? So one, that has to be set before we even get into that. Two, that if everyone understands the workings of the district. So if we receive a question from the public about anything, regardless, as long as it isn't a personnel matter, we need to ensure that they get that information so that they can understand how we operate and how their tax dollars are being spent. I know that moving forward, I'll do a lot of what I've already been doing on the school board. If we are not informed, so there were plenty of times when it was time for us to vote as a board, and I didn't feel like I could make an informed decision because I didn't have enough information to make an informed decision on when it came to voting. And so it's speaking out when there's something wrong, um, and just, constantly advocating for things to be available to the public, whatever information it needs to be available to the public, contracts, um, any sort of expenditures, we need to make that available to the public. So I'll just continue to do what I've been doing on the school board. If there's some sort of problem as far as anything, backdoor deals, anything that I feel that violates public trust, I'm going to speak out about it. So that's my plan for the future.
Thank you. Ken, would you like to address this question? And would you like me to reread it if you do? I think you're on mute, Ken. Ken, can you please unmute yourself?
So there we go. I think transparency is tied to a person's moral integrity. And I guess the question I would ask is, where does a person's moral center come from? What makes something right versus wrong? Is it something immutable like the Ten Commandments? Is it based on scripture? Is it based on what is true versus untrue? I mean, questions. You shouldn't be avoiding questions if you're transparent. My self-interest, my own personal self-interest, not the whole public self-interest. My reason for running for Wilkins Township Commissioner is to act in the best interest of all of the citizens of Wilkins Township. To me, if I do something that gets money only to me or advantage only to me, that's unconscionable. That's immoral. I shouldn't be seeking to get my relatives, my kids, my sister, my brother, or anybody an advantage in Wilkins Township as a result of me sitting on Board of Commissioners for Wilkins Township.
Great.
And I
Thank
should
you.
not be ducking any questions at all.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken. We do have a third question that was submitted. I'm going to put it out to each of you and allow you to choose whether you answered or not. It feels to me like it is very similar to your candidate statement. The question is, why are you running? Um, again, if you would like to give a direct answer to that very direct question, you're certainly welcome to do so. And this time I will start with Darnika because I have not yet started with Darnika.
Okay.
You're welcome to I mean, they submitted it. I'm gonna ask, but
I can say a few more things. It's
it's
fine.
redundant, right?
I am running because I know that I can work to improve the district. I know I've spent enough time in the district to know what we need, what our strengths and weaknesses are. And I know that I'm the person who can improve that. I know along with some great board members, we can certainly make a difference in the district. And I have a unique experience being a parent, and my background in behavioral health and working in schools with children. So I know a lot from speaking with my constituents, like why they want to send their children to the school, to our school district. I've also met with parents who chose not to send their kids to our school district. I know that I absolutely can make this district one where all, where it's people know that it's a viable option for their children. I really don't like that, but I feel like parents, when it comes to their children, when it gets down to it, it is their their duty, and they have to prioritize their needs of their children. And I want to ensure that this is a district that can actually accommodate the needs of all of the children who live here. And so if parents decide they want to send their children elsewhere, that could be for any reason, and I respect that. But I feel like it's my duty to make this a district where other parents, like all parents, should be able to send their children to. And I I enjoy my time on the school board, even it, when it's contentious. It's not a big deal to me. When it gets down to it, I can handle it. So I know that I can handle everything that comes with serving on the school board, and I know that I'm a strong advocate for the families in this district. And so I always work to be the school board member that I would like to have. And I wish I had even prior to joining the school board. So those are my reasons why.
All right. Thank you very much. Ken, would you like to answer that question? Why are you running? You're going to need to unmute yourself, Ken.
I'm going to click unmute. Can you hear me now?
Sure can.
Okay. I am an advocate of using the phrase "the art of governing" as opposed to the P word. I try not to use the P word at all. I think that what you guys refer to as politics is really the art of governing the township, the county, the city, the state, and the country. I don't think people like to talk about politics, but I've found in the 20, 30 years that I've been involved that people will talk about the art of governing their area where they live, their neighborhood even. But if you use the P word, it just kind of alienates people, and they just get their backsides up. And the reason I'm running is I want to change the conversation amongst the people in my community so that they can feel free to air the fact that, no, I don't want taxes to go up, especially for debt, which is what we're looking at. We're looking at debt for a new building, which I don't think is necessary. We're looking at debt for a new fire engine, which I had a conversation with a gentleman who has been in the fire business for 40 years, and he told me that there is an organization with the state of Pennsylvania that helps townships make sure that they're spending money as effectively as they can. And I was talking to that person about the $3 million price tag that our current commission is thinking about in order to buy a new fire engine. And he was like, a fire engine shouldn't cost $3 million. So to me, we should utilize that kind of expertise that the state of Pennsylvania is paying for and have them come alongside Wilkins Township and make wiser decisions in regards to debt, taxes, and expenditures. That's why I'm running.
Great. Thank you so much. Carlton.
Yes. So, in short, I'm running because I believe that the potential of the school board, the school board, it's essential that the school board works together. You have, regardless of what our points of view are, I think we actually get stronger when we communicate effectively with each other, listen from the public, respond back. Good communication is important in order to have growth and for respect. I like to believe that the people that we hire, our administrators, I like to believe that they're well-intentioned, that they are doing their best to do what's best for our students. It's obviously our responsibility to ensure that that's occurring. But I think that having a school board that works together with the superintendent and the administration to achieve our goals is more important than being adversarial or starting from the premise that there might be underhandedness or lack of transparency. Lack of transparency could come, but it doesn't have to be necessarily an intentional type thing, right? It can be something that we just simply rectify. So, the idea of, I think, coming from a leadership perspective, it's important to be able to take on all questions, to explain ourselves. But I think that we do it better when we talk amongst ourselves as a board, learn from each other. I think there's 9 talented, well-educated people who have a variety of experiences who can work together and do what's best for our kids. And I'd love to be part of that group. I think we could do a lot of good together. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So that concludes the questions that we had submitted this evening. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to add, happy to ask. Otherwise, we are going to have the recording of this meeting posted on the website for CC Mellor Library. We will also share out the link with each of the candidates that participated so that you can then share it in whatever capacity you would like to share it. And I
Thank you for hosting.
I thank you all for being here tonight. It was
Thank you.
a lovely night. Thank you so much.
Good evening.